Alright, hello, this is John Paul, and I'm here to show you something magnificent. It is my passion project. My passion project is a project driven by my passion. It's pretty epic, huh? So, my passion project is a video game, because I am interested in programming. Now, some of you may be familiar with things like Scratch, where you can code in air quotes with like blocks that you put them together, like if something happens then this happens. No, this is with real lines of code, as you can see here. So let's get into it. So I'm gonna press play, and this is the game. You are this fantastically made little Shrek over here, and you are traveling through space, and there are onions flying at you, and you have to dodge them. You can move up, down, left, and right. And let's see what happens when you hit an onion. Oh no, you died. But you can press space to respawn, and there's a timer in the top left, and you can see how long you can make it. So far, the furthest I've made it is, I think, about 2 minutes. So it's relatively hard, but it's not extremely hard. Anyways, so the game itself is not that interesting, but in my opinion, how it all works is pretty interesting. So, to start off, when you're going to make a game, you usually need a game engine of some kind, and a game engine is basically the sort of tool that you use to create your game. And the one that I chose is Godot, spelled G-O-D-O-T, and it's one of the best game engines I've found. But anyways, enough of that. You don't want to hear that stuff. What you want to see, probably, hopefully, is how it all works. So, to get started, you need to learn about scenes and nodes, and I could go on and on about this all day, but I'll just give you a short explanation. So, a scene is a group of nodes, so it's a scene, kind of like a scene in a movie, and so, for example, if I just wanted to play the player scene, I have a scene for the player. As you can see, there's not a background, there's not onions, there's just me, the player. So, beneath that you can have nodes, and nodes are essentially parts of the scene. They're really any little individual thing that makes up a game. So I have this animated sprite node, and this is the sprite. So a sprite is the term for basically the image of what the thing looks like. And this is called animated because it's animated, he's running. This is a collision-shaped 2D. It's a different kind of node. It's basically, it's a collision shape, and it's 2D, pretty self-explanatory. It makes it so that when something touches you, you can cause something to happen. In this case, if the onion touches you, you die. So now you hopefully know about scenes and nodes. So something else you can do is you can put a scene as kind of like a node of another scene, if that makes any sense. So I have these 6 onions. I have 4 onions that go horizontally and 2 onions that go vertically. And there's one that's onion main, and this is a scene. And each of these is their own individual scene. However, they're instanced, I believe it's called, under this onion main scene. So, there you go. Now, if we go to, so I'll start by explaining how the player works. So if we go to this script, so this all looks pretty scary to you probably, but fear not, I will give you the most basic explanation we can have. So, this is func ready. Func is short for function. It's like something that, it's a function. Pretty self-explanatory again. So this one is basically called, this happens, anything in here will happen when the game starts. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. This is process. So process is called every single frame. So that means whatever happens in here is going to happen every single frame. There are generally 60 frames a second, but that can vary. So here I have if input.isAction pressed UI right, and that means essentially if you're pressing the right arrow. And then this right here sets your velocity on the x-axis to 1, which makes it move right. I have a similar thing for left and down and up, blah blah blah. You get the idea, hopefully. So this plays the run animation, and this sets the run animation to the run animation. What this does here is this line of code here moves you where you're supposed to be, and these two keep you from going off of the screen. And so this is a function. So this is when this basically says that whenever the player enters an area, it is going to emit this signal stop. And we'll get to signals later, and then it's going to hide, so you can't see the player. And then on respawn start, that's, you know what? I'll get there later. Okay, so when it sends this stop signal, these onions here are going to hide, because if I go to this onion main, the onion main, so this, the player sends the stop signal to this, and this sends the stop O signal, which is short for stop onions, to the onions. So now I should probably explain how the onions work. So basically this is the speed, these are the size of the screen, this is how high it spawns, this is which side it spawns, this is kind of also which side it spawns. It's kind of complicated. This is the direction it goes, and I won't even mention that. So again, here's the ready function. So basically what all this does is randomize. This makes everything really random. So this picks a number between 1 and 2. This chooses whether it's going to spawn on the left or right based on that. It also chooses the direction. This chooses where these two lines here. These choose where it is going to spawn along the y-axis, so up or down. Here we have the process function again. That's called every frame, as I said before. And so basically this is everything I did up here, except it happens about every 4 seconds, so that the onion has time to get from one side of the screen to the other, and then it respawns in a random place. Does that make sense? Maybe not, whatever. Okay, so anyways, these are the things that stop it and start it. So now I should probably cover the background. I'm just going to cover these in a random order. Hopefully you're following this. If you're not, then that just stinks for you. Okay, so this background is actually relatively simple. So I'll go ahead and load back up the game so I can kind of visualize this for you. So if I maximize this, you can kind of see how all of this, or some of this, works. You can see the onions are showing up in certain places, and if you notice, the background is actually just teleporting down. It's two of the same picture on top of each other, and it's just teleporting down when it gets far enough. And so it gets this, so when you're like this, it gives this effect that, well, when it works, it gives this effect. It's not working right now, but it usually works. Yeah, there we go. And it gives this effect of you like moving through space. So there you go, that's that. And so the other onions all work the same, and the vertical onions work in a very similar manner. I won't explain them because I don't have time. I'm probably going over time. Oh no. Okay, so yes, the background, that's basically what that does. I won't explain any of that. So this is the respawn. So if we play this again, so here I am, I just died. So now this thing shows up, it says press space to respawn. If I press space, I respawn. Hallelujah. So basically, what this does is that if you press space when this is a thing, it sends the signal to onion main and to player to show. So now it's going to show the onions and the player when they were hidden. And then it's going to hide itself, if that makes any sense, hopefully. And so this is the timer. This one's, I won't go over this, it's very simple. This is music. I don't have the music on right now, but there is music. So that's pretty much all I need to explain. I could go on and on and on. This could be a 30-minute video, but it's not. So there you go. There's the very, very, very basics of how this works, explained to you by a 12-year-old that barely even knows what he's saying. Well, I'm glad that you sat through this thing, hopefully. Farewell.